Hello friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another 8 days of Halloween tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a vertical split tumbler design, of course with a super cute little Halloween theme. So I'm starting out with a fully prepped and sanded 20-ounce skinny tumbler, and I'm going to start by splitting my cup in half vertically. Now, this has always been hard for me, like since I first started making tumblers, this has always been a difficult thing for me to achieve, but I think I've kind of figured out an easy way to do it. So what I'm doing is measuring around the top rim of my tumbler to get the total circumference measurement. Then I'm going to take that measurement and I'm going to divide it by 2, and that's going to give us the size each of our halves needs to be. We just divided the circumference in half so that we have 2 halves. Easy enough, right? So then I'm going to take that measurement and I'm going to measure that width on my tumbler, make 2 marks, and then I'll follow those marks as I place my tape. Now this isn't like totally perfect and foolproof. I did have to do a little bit of adjusting, but it gave me a good idea for how big each half of my cup actually needs to be. Okay, pretty easy and painless so far, right? So that honestly, I think is the hardest part of this entire design. Once you've got this mapped out, you can kind of breeze through the rest of this. So on one half of our cup, we're going to use this super cute pumpkin pattern vinyl from Hopefully Created, and I'm going to wrap this on the open side of our tumbler the same way I do with every single vinyl wrap. The process never changes. And what I'm doing here is mapping out or marking where I'm going to trim my vinyl down. And I'm really going to just cut the vinyl in half essentially. I'm leaving all of that excess that you see at the bottom there because I'm going to wrap this vinyl down around the bottom of my cup so we get a nice seamless flow from the body of the tumbler all the way down around to the bottom. So once I've got my vinyl cut down to size, I'm going to take either straight edge. It doesn't matter which straight edge of your vinyl you use because they're both straight. So it just depends on how you like to work really. But I'm going to take one of those straight edges of the vinyl and I'm going to line it up with the straight edge of tape that I have on my cup, as you can see there. And I'm going to secure that down with another piece of tape. And as you can see also, I'm leaving a little tiny bit of stainless steel up at the top rim of the tumbler when I place my vinyl. I'm not leaving any excess up above the top rim that we're going to have to go through and trim off later. That's a new thing I've been doing lately, and I've really been liking it because I don't have to cut any excess off. I don't have to worry about using a super sharp X-Acto knife blade to get a nice smooth cut. I just have a straight edge right from the very beginning, and then when I go down and sand my top rim down and all of that stuff, I don't have to worry about ruining the vinyl. So I'm lining that straight edge up at the top up with my top rim, and then the straight edge of the side is lined up perfectly with the straight edge of tape that I placed down when we split the tumbler in half. So now we can actually apply the vinyl to the tumbler. I'm going to remove a little bit of the backing at a time and basically just push that backing away from the vinyl as I push the vinyl onto the tumbler. Now you can use your fingers like I'm doing here, or you can use a vinyl scraping tool with a felt edge. With pattern vinyl, I always like to use the felt edge because I know it won't scratch or ruin the vinyl. But yeah, I'm just going to push this onto the tumbler as you can see there, and then we'll take a craft knife and we'll cut off that little tiny bit of excess that we had left over that goes over the other side of our tape. Now, if you wanted to, you can absolutely just perfectly cut your vinyl to size. I always like to have a little tiny bit of overlap just in case my measurements are off, or if I made a mistake somewhere else. I like to have a little bit of extra on either side just in case. When I go to cut this off, I'm actually going to add another piece of masking tape that's in line with the masking tape underneath, simply because I really have a hard time cutting straight lines, and I want these lines to be as straight as possible. So I'm just going to add another kind of guideline piece of tape to tell me where exactly I need to cut this excess vinyl off. Of course, if you don't need this step, if you can just cut a straight line, one, I'm jealous of you, and two, you can just go in and cut off your excess vinyl and you don't have to do this extra little piece of tape step. For the bottom of the tumbler, like I said, I'm going to wrap this excess vinyl around the bottom. If you want to just use an edge cutting tool or something else to cut off your excess vinyl, you absolutely can. But I really like this seamless look, so I'm going to use my heat gun to really stretch out that vinyl and make it a little bit more pliable. This will definitely depend on the brand and like type of pattern vinyl that you're using. Sometimes the vinyl is just so thick that you cannot stretch it no matter how much you heat it. So just kind of like read the room, I guess, a little bit. Most pattern vinyls are probably fine to use with this technique, except the ones that are a little bit rougher to the touch, and you'll be pretty much be able to tell that they're not going to stretch no matter what you do. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, I've got my heat gun going, and I'm just kind of placing the bottom of my tumbler in front of the heat gun a little bit to get that vinyl a little warm, and then I'm going to pull it around the bottom of my tumbler. You can see I'm kind of going back and forth, smoothing everything down, heating it up, and then going and repeating that process until my cup looks something like this. So you can see I've got a lot of excess vinyl here, but honestly, I kind of like having something to hold on to. If you leave your pieces too short, then you're really like touching the super hot part. You don't have a lot of excess material to work with. So yes, while I kind of wasted that little bit of vinyl down at the bottom, it did make that process easier for me to complete. And again, I really just like the way that this looks. So it's a fine trade-off for me. So now that that is done, we can tape off our vinyl half and then glitter the other half of the tumbler. Now for the other half, we're going to do a top and bottom split design as well. So I'm going to tape off the sides, and then I'm going to measure about the middle of the tumbler based on the size of the decal I'm going to put on the top portion of the tumbler, and then I'll mask off those two halves based on that. So you don't have to do a perfect top and bottom totally even split for the top and bottom on this half of your cup if you don't want to. I really did go based on the decal I'm using, and I'm sure at this point it is no surprise to you guys that I am using a Halloween ducks decal because I am totally in my duck era right now. We're going to start with the bottom half of our tumbler because that's where I'm going to put the darker glitter. So we're going to do the bottom half orange and the top half white. Now I would just recommend using your darker color first. So wherever your darker color is going to go, that's the side I would start with. So I'm going to base paint this with just regular orange acrylic paint, and I'm going to do 2 coats of acrylic paint by itself before I go in and do any gluing or glitter application, because I want really, really, really nice, vibrant, opaque coverage here. So I'm doing a coat, drying it real quick with my heat gun, and then going right in with another coat. So all in all, this process maybe took me about 10 to 15 minutes. Using the heat gun to dry up my paint has been the best thing ever because I am so impatient and I just want to like keep going. So I would recommend using the heat gun to dry up your paint if you are impatient like me and you just want to get into the glitter, right? After my second coat of paint is dry, I'm going to add a little bit of Crystalac glitter glue to the existing little pile of paint I have here on my plate. I'm going to mix that together and I'm going to use that to apply my glitter. So another nice thing about drying your paint really quick with your heat gun is that you can use the same little blob of paint the entire time. And if you're someone like me who uses entirely too much paint all of the time, it's a good way to not waste as much paint. I did mix in a little bit of orange Arteza acrylic paint into this mixture as well, just to darken the color up a bit. And the glitter I'm using here is Sherbet 2.0 from Chase Ray Creations. This is a really pretty neon bright orange. And I'm just going to put that all over the bottom of our tumbler. Maybe about 5 to 10 minutes after glittering, you're going to want to go through and remove all of the tape that borders your orange glitter. I am going to leave the tape on the sides of the tumbler up at the top because I don't want to have to mask those off again when we go into glitter in just a little bit. So I'm going to take my craft knife and just cut along the edge where the orange glitter starts, just so we don't have to waste tape. If you want to lay down a whole nother piece of tape, you can, but I just cut this off and removed it from the bottom half and everything was totally fine. After a full 2 hours, when that orange portion is totally dry, I'm going to go in to the top portion of the tumbler, and I'm not going to tape off the border where the white is going to meet the orange because we haven't sealed our orange glitter yet or anything. It's just dry. So I'm just going to very carefully freehand paint around that area. So taking first my plain white acrylic paint, I'm going to do a coat of white here, let that fully dry, and then we'll go in the same way with our Crystalac glitter glue mixed with the white paint to apply our white glitter to the top portion of the cup. The glitter I'm using for the top portion of this tumbler is Lace from Chase Ray Creations. This is a mini chunky cut and it's about the same size as the bottom glitter that we use, that Sherbet 2.0 color. And I'm just going to cover the entire top portion of the cup. I'm not too worried about my white glitter moving into my orange glitter sections. This is why I always work from my darkest color to my lightest color, because by the time you get to laying that light color down, you've got full enough coverage with your darker color that if you get that super light color into your dark color, you're not really going to be able to tell anyway. Whereas if you went the other way, if I had laid this white glitter down first and then gone in with my orange glitter, I might have contaminated that white glitter a little bit with my orange. So I always like to work from darkest to lightest. Now, after glittering, I'm going to remove that last little bit of tape that we've got. Let this dry a full 2 hours. I'm going to seal both sections of my glitter with my Crystalac glitter glue and water mixture, and then I'm going to add 2 full coats of epoxy to my tumbler. Each of my coats is about 25 milliliters, and for both coats I'm using the Flynn Sisters Supply Shop Fast Cure epoxy. So I waited about maybe 6 to 8 hours in between each coat, and now at this point my cup is pretty much totally smooth and I'm ready to move right into my decal application and all of my vinyl work. Like I said earlier, I'm going to use this super cute duck decal on the top portion of my tumbler. And again, I am using my clear printable sticker paper for the decal. I got this image on Creative Fabrica, so I will link it down below for you if you want to use the same one. But really, with this theme and this sort of technique and design, you could put any decal you wanted up here. You could do a white back decal, you could do a UV DTF decal, you could do just a plain vinyl cutout, like quote if you wanted to. You can put anything you want on the top half of your tumbler. Because I'm using a clear decal, I did not do any sort of sanding on the top of my tumbler. I wanted that to be totally smooth and shiny before applying that clear vinyl so that we don't have any mishaps when we go to apply epoxy over it. Now for the bottom portion of our tumbler, I'm going to use this semi-transparent vinyl that I have. This is a design I made and had printed. It's not available anymore, unfortunately, but to get this same sort of look, you can either print out some distressed stripes on the same clear printable sticker paper that I used for the top portion. You could use that same stuff for down below, or you could use a clear water slide if you wanted to, or you could just cut out vinyl striping in either all black or all different colors if you've got all of these different shades of blacks and grays, and then you could create your own little striped look. So there are tons of options if you don't have a semi-transparent or clear professionally printed striped vinyl that you want to use for this bottom half. I'm going to use my paper trimmer to cut this vinyl down to size so that it fits essentially perfectly in that little orange section of our tumbler. And then I'm going to apply this the same way I did our full, or I guess our half sheet of pattern vinyl. I'm going to tape down one edge of that vinyl, and then I'll pull away a little bit of the backing and actually cut that away. I didn't do that with the full sheet of vinyl, but I'm going to cut that away so I can make sure, because I can see through this vinyl, I want to make sure everything is lined up and looks right before I put the rest of the sheet onto the tumbler. I'm going to use, again, my vinyl scraping tool or my vinyl squeegee, whatever you want to call it, to push the vinyl onto the tumbler, and then we will cut off all of the excess with our craft knife. I'm going to do a layered striping situation here, and honestly, you probably could go without layering them because you can barely tell with how thick I made each of these stripes, but I kind of like it too. It's just like a little bit of extra something, but if you don't want to layer your 2 stripes of vinyl for the edges, feel free to not. But what I'm doing here is taking my holographic orange chrome vinyl from TECKWRAP Craft, and I'm laying that down on each half of the tumbler. And when I went to cut off the excess for the stripes down at the bottom, I didn't cut off enough because I'll tell you, with this chrome vinyl, you can see everything underneath it. Like any little bump, anything, it's going to tell you that it's there. So after I had laid down that chrome strip of vinyl, I had to lift it up and cut off a little bit more of my stripe vinyl because you could see it underneath it. So after that strip is done, I'm going to add another stripe of black vinyl. And I honestly made these like almost the exact same size. Like I said earlier, you can't really tell unless you're looking up close that I layered the 2 stripes. So do with that what you will. I still think it looks kind of nice and kind of cool, but you definitely don't have to layer your striping if you don't want to. I'm going to use that same pumpkin pattern vinyl to cut out a circle for the bottom of the tumbler. So I'm just measuring end to end for that, and I'm going to cut out a circle using my silhouette, and then I'm going to place that right down in the middle of our tumbler to cover up the bottom and make it look really nice and finished. Now, another thing I did that I probably wouldn't do again is I added a little bit of UV resin mixed in with that same lace glitter that we used on the top portion of our cup where the decal went. And the reason I wouldn't do that again on the bottom of the tumbler is because lace really pulls purple on any color that's not a white base. Like if you put it on a darker color or even this orange, as you'll see, it really picks up purple and looks so beautiful, but you can't really see the pumpkin pattern underneath. So I probably either would have used way less glitter on the bottom or used a different glitter entirely for the bottom, or not done a glitter at all and just done the UV resin to seal everything in and smooth it out before my final coat of epoxy. Once we finished all of those fun little details, we can add our final 2 coats of epoxy to the tumbler. For my last 2 coats, I'm using the Flynn Sisters Supply Shop Artist Cure Epoxy for maximum UV protection. And that's it. That's it for this tutorial and this tumbler design. Here is the final result. I love this cup so much. I love these little Halloween ducks. They're so cute. And I really hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. This is perfect for beginners, or if you're a seasoned tumbler maker and you just love a nice, simple, clean design. I know I do. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button down below. Let me know what you think in the comments as well. And make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I love you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Okay? Love you. Bye! Hello friends! Thanks so much for watching this video. I want to say a huge special thank you to my elite fam, my channel members, and my subscribers. You all make this channel possible, so thank you so much for being part of the fam. If you want more exclusive content from me, you can join my elite fam at patreon.com/elitefam. You can find my tumblers and digital files on my website, madebymalstudio.com. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, you can find me on Instagram at madebymal_studio. Here's another video for you to check out, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching. Love you. Bye.